Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. And as you all know, today we are here for a new type of event. And in fact, this is the first event of this particular category. And as you know, the event is you should know some particular law and orders. So for this event, we have Mr. Shikhar with us. Hi, sir. Good evening. How are you doing? And welcome to Squad Growth.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Shaurya. I'm doing extremely fine. And apologies to everyone present at the event for the delay. It was unintended, and I'm extremely sorry for that. So,
That's
good
completely
evening
fine.
to all the change makers who are present with us here today. Uh, and it's good to have all of you here. So, hi. I'll just briefly introduce myself, and then we can proceed with the session. So, good evening, guys. My name is Shikhar Khandelwal. I'm an advocate by profession, and I practice in Bombay. And I'm also doing my master's from Jindal Global Law School. So, yeah, that is it about me. Now, yeah. So let's start with the session. So, how are we going to have it? Am I just supposed to go on, or like we're inviting questions in the middle, or can we have the question answer session in the end?
We will have the questions in the end of the session. And till then, you can have what you can
Oh,
speak. Yep.
okay, okay. So the when the theme was told to me that because initially when I was asked by Weber that you have to give a lecture, I was not quite sure. But then I talked to Shaurya and he told me कि सर आपको ऐसा ऐसा करना है information देना है थोड़ा सा laws के बारे में. So I'm not going to be preachy about any laws. We'll just talk about some general laws which can be of use to everyone, each and every one of us, because not everyone is a law student, and I think general laws ke bare mein if we discuss, then it will be more useful. So, yeah. So I've listed out a few common laws that every one of us must know. So kissing in public. Well, we all have girlfriends, and so kissing in public, it's not allowed. It's considered as public display of affection. However, the laws do not explicitly state, they do not exclusively state that kissing is not allowed. They just state that public display of affection is not allowed. So if anyone finds it offensive, they can complain against it. And that is something for us to be worried about, because in India, these days, people are less tolerant about things. And IPC prohibits public display of affection under section 294 of 294. So yeah, that is one thing. And while we're on relationship, it is legal to be living with your partner, whoever it is, guys, girls. You guys can live together. Live-in relationships are permitted under the Indian laws. However, these comes with a rider, because as soon as you have a live-in relationship, it's as good as a marriage. So these things come with a set of rights and responsibilities, because you then are entitled for all the rights that a husband has. But at the same time, you have the responsibility of maintaining the person you're living with as a husband would maintain. So that is one thing, right? Moving ahead, we all drive, and most of us, since we're all teenagers, we drive two-wheelers, and we see at the signals quite I mean quite a few of policemen. They come and they just take out our keys from our bikes. So that is illegal. That's not legal. That's not allowed. So this is not allowed only when it is uninitiated from our side. So if the police guy comes, stops us, we stop, and then he takes our keys, then it is illegal. However, if we try and run, if we attempt to run, and then he takes us, then he takes the keys or documents, whatever, then it might be legal on his side, because it was a forced attempt, right? We tried to force ourselves, and then he acted in restraint, and then he collected our keys and documents just to stop us from running. So in that case it might be legal, but otherwise it is not. And in these cases you can always give a complaint to the police itself in writing. You can give a complaint to the DGP, you can give a complaint to the SP, you can give a complaint to the DSP. You can always write a letter, and if not these policemen, you can always write a letter to the concerned police station, the nearby police station, and they can forward it to the concerned authority. So that is another. Uh, then then yes, we're on police. Police officers are probably the only people in employment who can never go off duty. Police people are always on duty, and they are supposed to be in duty throughout 24 by 7 into 365 days. Even when they are not in their uniform, they are supposed to be doing their duty. And moving on, and this is something, the law that I'm going to talk about, this is something that we all know about. A police officer cannot refuse to lodge an FIR. When we ask them to lodge an FIR, they cannot refuse. But this also comes with a rider, because it's just the law simply states that a police officer cannot refuse to file an FIR. But what we have to understand, because you see, we see so many movies these days, we come across so many articles and news videos saying that the police did not take the FIR. But then, so what happens is, after a complaint is made to the police, when we file a complaint to the police station, so understand, filing of complaint is a different thing, and registration of FIR is another. So when an FIR is registered, that means that the crime is registered and it was preliminarily investigated. So a complaint, when submitted, it would be investigated, and then based on the investigation, when it will be found that the complaint has some substance, only then and then will it be registered as an FIR. So that is something that usually happens. But in writing, what we have is that a police officer cannot refuse to lodge an FIR. And if he refuses, there are recourses against it. You can always file your complaint directly to the judge. You can send them a letter, or you can write to the police station. As I said earlier also, you can write to the police station, and they are obliged and they are obligated to take your complaint and file an FIR based on that complaint. Yes. Also, this while researching about these common laws, because as a law student, I come across many difficult laws, and these are, these are so trivial and these are not peculiar laws, because then we come across so many different laws. So maybe we sometimes miss out on these things. So this very interesting thing that I came across was that if an LPG cylinder, if it burns during cooking, the affected person or the victim is entitled for a compensation of more than 50 lakhs. So they're entitled for a compensation of 50 lakhs up to rupees 50 lakhs, and they can claim it from the company, whether it is HP, Indian.
From the owner, from the company of the LPG cylinder, like whether it is
Yes,
Indian or HP or
Indian, yes, HP, whatever it is. Then okay, so there's this great law. It was not forced, but then it was made so that people. So there's this law that no individual can be denied access to water as well as toilets. So you go somewhere, you do not find a toilet anywhere, but there's a 5-star hotel. You can go to that 5-star hotel. You can ask them for water. If you have to use their washrooms, you can even use those their washrooms, and they cannot deny. So there's a law, but then the law came to be repealed, and it is at the, when I say repeal, it means it's gone. The government has written it off, but then it is at the discretion of the states. State means Maharashtra, Gujarat. So respective state governments, whatever they feel, if they feel it necessary, they can they can remove it from the books. But there's a Supreme Court judgment. The apex court of the country, Supreme Court, there's a judgment which says that no one can be denied access to water as well as public toilets. And when I say public toilets, a private person can go to a hotel and use those toilets as public toilets, right? Uh, yes, then quite some of us, we as a student, we have to go to different places to study. We quite sometimes we travel also. So and quite many times we have delays. So in cases of delays, if a flight is delayed by more than, let's say, 2 to 5 hours, it's delayed by more than 2 hours and less than 5 hours, then the flight operator, let's say Indigo, or let's say SpiceJet, Air India, or Vistara, so those flight operators, they are obligated to give us snacks, refreshments. They're obligated to give us lunch, and we can always ask them. They obviously don't insist, because in India we do not have the quite courteous culture. I don't know why, but we can always ask them and they cannot refuse us. If the flight is delayed by more than 2 hours and less than 5 hours, if the flight is delayed by more than 6 hours, more than 5 hours, then in that case, we can ask for a refund from the flight operators. And if not refund, if they are not insisting on refund, then they are supposed to make us sit on an alternate flight. So either they have to make us reach our destination, or they will have to refund our money. And if the flight is delayed even more, then they will have to refund double the money. But then it depends on case to case. So generally it is that if your flight is delayed by more than 2 hours, then you can ask for refreshments, meals, you can ask for drinks for free, of course. You can also ask for vouchers. And when it is delayed for more than 5 hours, then you can ask for a refund, or they are obliged to make an alternative arrangement for the passengers. Another thing, so the Union Ministry for Travel, the Transport Ministry, they actually brought in a notification in 2021 saying that if there's an accident on a highway, if there's a national highway and there's an accident, and if someone takes the victim who was involved in that accident to the nearest hospital within an hour, then that individual who took that victim to the hospital would be entitled to 5,000 rupees cash and will be declared as a good Samaritan. And this is a proper title that is given to that particular individual, good Samaritan. The police will recognize it, the union government will recognize it, the state governments will recognize it. So it will be a title that good Samaritan Shaurya, good Samaritan Shikhar. So it is a title that is given if at all you help the victim get to the hospital within an hour of the accident. Because quite many times it happens that victims die because they're not taken to the hospital, and people only wait for the ambulances to come. But the ambulance, they generally don't come because of the population. So this is an initiative taken out by the Union Ministry of Union Ministry of Transport, so that people are, we can say that they are motivated to help to those who are affected by the accidents on national highways. Yes. Now, the next law that I'm going to talk about, it's something very, we've seen advertisements, various things we've seen since the very childhood of ours. When I was little, I used to see those ads of Jago Grahak Jago. Even you must have seen those ads. Now, they no longer appear on the TVs. I don't know why, but earlier, when back in my age, they used to appear Jago Grahak Jago. So the law that I'm talking about is that a shopkeeper cannot charge you more than the MRP that is printed on a particular product. However, you can ask them for a discount because it is the maximum retail price. But if the shopkeeper does charge you more than the MRP, then now you see this is a particular problem that most of the times we do know about the laws. See, this cannot happen, that cannot happen. But then if there's a violation, we cannot do anything about it. So that becomes a problem, because we know that this law is being violated when people, when we go to a shop and then they say ki Sprite 2 रुपए ज्यादा है क्योंकि इसका cooling charges है. And at that point in time, we say that, see, this MRP is only $50 and I'm not going to pay you $52 just because there's cooling charges. And he'll say, okay, then don't buy it from here. So these kind of practical problems are there. So what the government has done is they have made it easier for people like us who actually care about these things, those 2 rupees. So people like us can go to the website of consumer. So there's a consumer helpline. You can go to that website, you can file a complaint, and the money is going to be refunded, or they can the appropriate respective authority, they can take action against the shopkeeper. And this is very easy. I mean, you can always log on to consumerhelpline.gov.in, if I'm not wrong, that is the correct website. And there's also Jago Grahak Jago platform. It's with the same name, Jago Grahak Jago. And there's also, I think, a hotline. There's a hotline on which if you call,
Yes.
they'll take your complaint, they'll register it, and they'll investigate, and then they'll get back to you. And
Yeah.
I have tried it a couple of times, and it has worked. So the next time someone charges you more, just see if they are registered or not, because if they are not registered, if they're not either if they're not working as the registered shopkeepers, then that is altogether a different issue, because then their whole shop will have to be closed. But if they're a registered shopkeeper and they are selling products more than the MRP, the printed MRP, then they can be, obviously we can complain against their practices with the consumer forum. Now, again, we always wonder when we buy those Balaji or Lay's chips. See, it's written as 10 grams, 20 grams. So this one time, what happened was, this one person bought a chips ka packet. The content of the packet showed 5 gram as the weight of the product. This one guy, he got really excited, and he actually got it measured on a weighing scale. So the product weighed 2 grams less than what it was shown on the packet. And this person was offended. He filed a complaint, and he was awarded, now that for that 5 rupees ka chips, he was awarded 1 lakh rupees as compensation. So these are, I mean, these are not quite practical things that I'm talking about, because once in a blue moon, everyone, I mean, not everyone will buy the Lay's ka chips packet and then going to weight on a weighing scale. But if you do that, and if it is actually less than what it shows on the packet, then you can actually sue them. You can write a complaint to the consumer helpline, or you can directly write to the FSAAI. So this is the authority which handles all these ratings and all these food certifications. FSAAI. That this is the name of the authority, and if you go on their website, you can always raise a grievance against any particular company or any particular product which you find is showing the wrong description on their packets, right? Then now these days, most of us we go to these marts, supermarts, right? We use Reliance, we go to D-Marts, we go to all these supermarts and stores, superstores, and these days it's very prevalent, and we read about it all day, that someone charged them for a carry bag, and then they went to the court.
Yes.
And after they went to the court, they were awarded some compensation. So there's a bit of a confusion, because then we go to these stores and then we wonder, see, they're still charging, and then we tell them, see, हम आपको कोर्ट ले जाएंगे, आपको लाखों भरना पड़ेगा, and they're like, जाओ लेके जाओ. So there's a catch. If you're in a store, and if you have taken some products from that particular superstore, and if they're selling you a carry bag which is chargeable, and if that carry bag has a brand image or a name of the brand, or logo of the brand,
Yep.
then it amounts to advertising. And in that case, they cannot charge you for that carry bag.
Hmm.
So it is only in these cases, because see, as soon as there's a logo, as soon as there's a logo on that particular carry bag,
It
it
directly links
amounts to,
to advertising.
yeah, it amounts to advertising.
Hmm.
And when you're advertising, you have to give it for free,
Yes.
because basically, because what will happen is, in turn you'll make money because of the goodwill that is created by that advertisement. So only in cases when the bags do not have any kind of a mark, any kind of an image, which
Yes.
is actually advertising a particular brand, that a okay. Also now, so now this is very interesting. If a person removes, let's say, air from your tire, if he punctures your tire on purpose, then you can file a police complaint against that, and that is actually permissible under
Yep.
section 420 and 426 of IPC. You can actually file a police complaint against a person for removing air from your tires or puncturing it.
Yes.
So you can do that. uh, Okay. Also, when you go to a restaurant, and if you, I mean, after you've had your food, you think there's something wrong with the food, something extremely wrong with the food, and then it's that some ingredients were not up to the mark, and whether they're harmful or whatever, then you can actually file a complaint against it, and the authority is bound to investigate and get back to you on that complaint. So you can again, you can complain against the restaurant or a particular product with FSAI, FSI, as I've earlier told you in the
Yes.
session.
Yes.
So you can obviously क्या बोलते हैं, you can file a complaint with FSI against that particular restaurant for serving a faulty meal. Then also we're at a very tender age, and we let's admit it that we all watch porn. Okay, so the possession, so now we read a lot about that, how people with possession of pornographic material were arrested, but that's half of the truth. A person with possession of pornographic material per se cannot be arrested, cannot be charged, or cannot be prosecuted. But if at all that particular pornographic material was transferred, or what in legal language we call transmission, if the video was circulated by any means, by a WhatsApp message, by a message, link was circulated, then it becomes a problem, because then it amounts to transmission or transfer, and which is punishable under the Information Technology Act. So while possession itself is not punishable, but transfer of such a material or transmission of such a material is punishable.
Yep.
Okay, and also lastly, uh, this is for a very mature mature audience. Domestic violence. We see. I don't nowadays it's lessened, but still not completely eradicated. Domestic violence still happens. So in case there's a domestic violence and the person cannot actually visit police station, they can register a complaint through an email. And even if you are not the one involved directly in domestic violence, you can also file a complaint on behalf of the victim, even if you know the victim or not. That is not a concern. You can file a complaint regardless, and you can email it to dcp-vigilance-dl@nic.in. I just put it in the chat box, so that in case anyone comes across anyone who's getting domestically abused, then they can write an email, and their identity will always be hidden, always. So yeah, I think that is it from my side. If anyone have any questions, then I'd be happy to answer.
Yep. There are a couple of questions, like I guess we have 3 to 4 questions.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So yep, we have 3 to 4 questions, sir. Let us take.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So any law against abuse?
Yes.
Any law against abusing? The person does abusing, then is there any law against abusing or not?
See, there is a law. Actually, man, there is a law,
Yep.
but it does not per se say that if you abuse someone, then it can be prosecuted. So there are 2 3 laws. Like, if I abuse you and you don't like it, and you're in public, then
Hmm.
I can sue you for defamation, that you defamed me in public, right?
Yep.
That so in this case, what happens is, what we when we make the complaint, what we write it as advocate, that
Yeah.
we were in a public area, that person abused me, and in the minds of right thinking people of the society, I was deprecated, my image was deprecated. So
Hmm.
that is punishable. Now that is one. Another, it causes me nuisance. The other person is causing nuisance by abusing me, and by annoying me. So this particular thing annoys me, so he's causing nuisance,
Yep.
right?
Got it.
Yes.
Got
So
it.
I mean, there's not a law exclusively, but then we can always prosecute someone for abusing in some other ways. But yes, a person can be prosecuted for abusing.
Got it. Got it. What to do if company does not refund the money of cancelled product?
I did not get the.
What to do if the company doesn't refund my money if I cancel their product, when I cancel their product?
Okay. So you can always write to the consumer department. So you can file a complaint, and the complaint can be filed online on the website of consumer, and the website ka this thing is consumerhelpline.gov.in. I think I've noted it down, consumerhelpline.gov.in.
Yes. And
And so there's one more. Yes, consumerhelpline.gov.in, and there's one more portal, Jago Grahak Jago. You can give them a call, you
hmm,
can give them the description, and they will taking your complaint, and you can always track the status of the complaint, and these people do respond, they always respond. So you can do that. If the company is not responding,
hmm,
then you can always file a complaint either to Jago Grahak Jago forum, or you
yeah.
can log in to consumerhelpline.gov.in, and you can file your complaint.
Got it. Got it. Last question is how the process works when we register a complaint.
What type of complaint? Now see, it would depend on what type of a complaint it is. Now let's say, let's take the earlier example, that I ordered a product, I
Hmm.
returned it, but the money was not refunded.
Yep.
So yes. So the first step is that you write to the company from which you have ordered that particular product. It
Hmm.
is only after they have not responded that you file to consumer people. Now you so these are informal complaints. So these complaints that I'm talking about, Jago Grahak Jago portal or the consumer helpline portal, these complaints are informal complaints, and these informal complaints portals are made so that you don't have to go to the courts, because consumer courts also, those courts are also like pain in itself, because going to the court, filing a proper formal complaint, and then going there for trial, it is a menace, to be really frank. So what you do is, you just on when it comes to Jago Grahak Jago, when you have to file a complaint to Jago Grahak Jago, you just call them. I think the number is 1800 something. The number is something, I'll put it in the chat box. You
Yep.
call them, you give them the
Hmm.
description of the complaint, you give them the name of the company, you give them the contact detail. If you do not have the mobile number, you can always give them the email ID.
Yep.
And that is it. And then
That's
you can track and then after the complaint is registered, so they immediately they register your complaint. And after the complaint is registered, what they do is, they send you a complaint number, registered complaint number, which you can track using their application or using their website. And for all those looking for filing these kinds of complaints, so there's a government portal, Umang. You can find it on Play Store or iOS. So Umang is like Play Store for government apps.
Okay.
It's like Google Play Store, but for government apps. On Umang, you will find all the government apps like DigiLocker. Yes, so this is one of the laws that I forgot to mention.
Yes.
If you are not carrying your physical copy of your driving license, then what you can do is instead you can download DigiLocker in your mobile phone.
Yes.
And if the driver's license is linked with your mobile number, then you can fetch it online using DigiLocker, and that particular ID you can show it to the policeman using your phone, which is fetched in the DigiLocker application.
And that is valid.
Yes, and that is valid.
Got it.
So download Umang, and in that application you'll have several other applications, and the application that I am particularly referring to is the Jago Grahak Jago. In that portal itself, you can register your complaint, and whatever information you can fill in there, and they will respond. And they always respond, because I have experienced it myself firsthand. Otherwise, you can always log on to consumerhelpline.gov.in.
Got it.
Yes.
So, sir, we don't have any other question. You provided a huge value to our community, and this is a new type of event we had. And actually, this is very much useful in our daily life. Like whatever career we have, but the laws are very much useful in our daily life.
No, it's true. It's actually true. Had I known these laws earlier, even I would have
started your journey of lawyer. Yep.
Yes. No, but it is a very nice initiative, and these days, see, this is you got to pat your own back, because this is a really great initiative, and I am like in awe of the initiative. So thank you for calling me to this session.
Yes,
and
sir.
I am privileged to be the first one to deliver this kind of a session. And again, I'm sorry for the delay. It was not intended.
That's completely fine, sir. Thank you very much for providing a huge value to our community.
And yes, and in case anyone has any more questions that they were not able to ask now, they can always reach out to me on my email ID. I'll just put it in the chat box. Yeah, acha, the chat box doesn't work here.
Send your email ID on the WhatsApp, because the meeting will end anytime soon.
Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll send my email ID to your WhatsApp, and if anyone has any questions regarding the session or in general, then they can always send those questions to my email ID, and I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much, audience. Thank you, sir. And we will meet soon again.
Yes. Thank you very much, Shaurya, and good night to all those who are present, and good night to you too, Shaurya. Thank you.
Good night, sir. Good night. Thank you.
Yes.